Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session of UTSC Life Skills. I am Dr. Amanda Ulizik, a professor at the University of Toronto, and today I'm going to talk to you about collaboration and conflict resolution. So, as we've already reviewed in the relationships and social situations video, there are endless places at the university or college that you attend for interpersonal interactions. Feel free to go back to that video for a reminder on how to get what you need in relationships and also how to validate others. So, we're not going to repeat that type of information here today. Instead, do you feel a sense of doom when your professor says the dreaded phrase group project? Why don't students jump for joy when they hear they're going to do a group project? It's something that just makes people fearful and brings on a lot of negative thoughts. Like, no one's going to listen to me. I don't want to do all the work. None of my friends are in this group. Or I don't feel comfortable speaking up in a group. And so these kind of thoughts can make you feel very anxious or make you feel very annoyed that you have to deal with people that maybe you don't know. Um, so, what are we going to do today? Well, don't worry. Today, we have tips to help you navigate a tough interpersonal situation, for example, like working on a group project. However, these tips and these skills can be applied to other difficult or stressful interpersonal situations as well. So, the first thing we're going to do is a little test about your own interpersonal style. And your interpersonal style is just your typical way of interacting on average with other people. None of us are the same with everyone all the time, but this might be what is most common for you in a given situation. So, what you want to ask yourself is when you're collaborating with your peers, is it more important for you to get your own voice heard? Or is it more important to you to hear what other people have to say? So if you are thinking to yourself, well, my opinion is what matters, and maybe you tend to talk over others or assume you should be the leader and tell others what to do, you might also have the tendency to get more annoyed with others and really focus on getting your voice heard. This is more of an aggressive interpersonal style. And what's good about an aggressive interpersonal style is that you're really probably good at getting things done. You have some confidence in your abilities, and you have an influence over the quality of something like a group project, which is great. However, no one really likes working with somebody that has an aggressive style. And also, you miss out on the other good ideas that group members had when you're too busy focusing on only getting your opinions heard. But let's say when you're not an aggressive style at all, let's say you have maybe the opposite issue. You're great at hearing the voices of others in the group, but less proficient at getting your own voice heard. Maybe you tend to be quiet or shy in groups or even doubt the quality of your own ideas. This would be called a passive interpersonal style. Now, there's some good things about a passive interpersonal style. You're really, really easy to work with. People tend to enjoy working with you because you're a good listener and you value other people. However, you have very little influence over the quality of the project that you're doing. And some people might even say that you're really not contributing because you're being so quiet and not being helpful. Well, what if you could have the best of both worlds, right? What if we could focus on getting your voice heard and hearing the voices of others? This is called an assertive interpersonal style. And this is what our focus should be in most interpersonal situations, not just group projects, but in most situations. Now, why is this good? So you're easy to work with. You have lots of influence over the quality of the project when you're prioritizing both of these things. Why is it bad? Well, sometimes it can be uncomfortable if you tend to be shy or quiet, or on the opposite, if you tend to like to have a lot of control over your academics or your situations, it might be really uncomfortable for you to do some of these assertiveness skills. So let's keep that in mind, that it's not just so easy. So, how do we do and perform in an assertive interpersonal style? Well, first of all, you have to listen to others. Don't interrupt, don't talk over people, don't kind of sit there waiting for your turn without acknowledging what the person is saying. You really want to be a good listener. Next, you need to speak clearly and honestly. You don't need to apologize for your opinions. You don't want to be dismissive or insulting of others, but state your ideas clearly with an even tone. Next, you want to make sure you're using a relaxed body posture. Our nonverbal cues are just as important, if not more important, than our verbal cues. So, you want to look relaxed, friendly, have a confident tone of voice, smile often, and use eye contact if you can. So try some of these phrases. If you have a passive style and you're trying to participate in a more assertive way in group, you might say something like, "Those are great ideas. I have one I'd like to add. I have a different suggestion. I'd love to hear what you think of it. I'm not sure that's the right choice. Can we keep thinking about something else?" So these are ways where we're validating other people, which will, for someone with a passive style, will feel very natural and comfortable, but also then asserting either a disagreement or an addition to the conversation. If you tend to have a more aggressive style, try these. Um, Overall, being sure to ask questions and listen. That can be your overall kind of goal to practice. So you might say to someone, "Great idea. Do you have more ideas to add? I'm excited about this project. So let me know if I'm talking too much. What are ways we can make sure that everyone has their ideas heard?" So these are all phrases you can do as a person who may be more aggressive in group situations to make sure other people are feeling comfortable and communicating their ideas to you as well. Well, what if you do all these wonderful assertive things, but conflict still happens? So if we're thinking about our example of a group project, how do conflicts kind of manifest themselves? Well, maybe everyone has lots and lots of ideas and no one agrees. Maybe one person is acting with an aggressive or overly bossy style and it's disrupting the other group members. Maybe you have the ever-present issue of having, like, a decent group, but, like, one person, no one never comes, never shows up, no one knows where they went. So you need to figure out, like, how this person can participate more. Well, there's lots of tips and tricks for conflict resolution in a tough interpersonal situation. So, first off, when you're doing this in an academic setting, you want to document your group activities. You either have a note taker or do it in an email form. This protects your grade and will provide like a very clear, non judgmental, and fact based description of what's happened in the group if you need to do further conflict resolution procedures. It's a non judgmental account of your progress. Next, if you're having a conflict, you might want to set aside a specific time to let the group members know you'd like to discuss issues. That way, no one feels surprised or ganged up on if all of a sudden you're saying, "Okay, we need to talk about the interpersonal styles of this group," or "We need to talk about why one person isn't showing up." Next, when you meet, make sure you're preparing ways to collaborate and negotiate, not thinking of ways that you will win out and get and make sure yours is the only voice that's getting heard. If you have this mindset, it works better for everyone. If the goal is collaboration, we want the most people to be satisfied as possible, not just you being satisfied. Um, Finally, as you are interacting with others, even if you're finding yourself getting annoyed or anxious, avoid blaming or accusatory statements. Go back to that other video on relationships and interpersonal skills and use your dear skills. Describe things in a non-judgmental way, express your own feelings, assert clearly what you want, and then reinforce others for doing the things that would be helpful for everyone in that context. And then finally, as a last resort, bring in your professor, or if it's not an academic issue, bring in an impartial third party to kind of mediate things for you. Sometimes it's nice to just have someone else come in and you can kind of present the facts of what's happening and get some advice from someone else that you trust. And remember, conflict can be stressful. You look at the other UTSC life videos, like handling stressful situations, in order to give you some extra skills to cope when things get difficult. And while conflict can be stressful, conflict is also a part of life. There's no getting around it. We are all going to disagree, and we are all going to not always be satisfied in our work or home life. So when you're confronted with a conflict or different ideas, this is exciting. This is great because you get the chance to improve your life skills. So think of it that way. Okay, this is a great time for me to practice assertiveness skills. This is a great time for me to practice a dear skill. So, with that being said, I want to thank you for being here with me today and learning a little bit more about collaboration and conflict resolution. I hope you are well. Once again, my name is Amanda Ulizik, and I am a professor at the University of Toronto. I hope you enjoyed this recording.